Welcome back to another video. This is Thank God It's Football, and this video is in continuation with our previous video where we are reviewing the 1920 seasons for all the Premier League clubs. And now we are gonna talk about the next five clubs. I'm your host Arno, and I'm joined by Shrika, Marcel, and Jeet today. So we're gonna start off this episode by talking about my favorite club, that is Chelsea. So Shrika, what do you make of Chelsea's season?
It's definitely commendable how far they've come, in spite of they having a transfer ban. I mean, finishing top four. I mean, literally, even Chelsea fans had written them off to be a mid-table, probably a top eight club. But then coming top four is definitely something commendable. I mean, they had the helping hand of being able to sign Kovacic in spite of the transfer ban, and it's safe to say that Kovacic has anchored the midfield really well. In the scenario that Kante has been missing for most of the season, I really think Kovacic played a really important role, especially because of their shaky defense.
That is true. And on the point of shaky defense, Jeet, what is your view on Chelsea's defense?
Considering
Uh,
he's also a Chelsea fan.
yeah, so I'm also a Chelsea fan. So we had a good season, considering the fact that Shika said no transfer ban and everything. Defense wise,
Also, it should be noted that this is Lampard's first season in the Prem, and he had
that's
a
also
young squad.
right. So
That is correct.
like according to defense for me, apart
Hello.
Jeet, we lost you. Hello.
I think we've lost Jeet. We'll come back to Jeet. Marcel, you were saying about Lampard.
Yeah, Lampard took
uh,
over from Sari. He ended up, I don't know, third or fourth, but he had all the players he
Sorry was
wanted.
good, yeah.
Lampard couldn't get the players he wanted. He had to work with a inexperienced. I wouldn't say inexperienced, but they had a fairly young squad, and they had
So,
a transfer ban also. So I think Chelsea have had a really good season, and they
according to me, it's not really inexperience as much as it is a lack of chemistry. See, I didn't really see inexperience as such in the team. Uh, obviously the front line was inexperienced, but in every position, or how do I say it? Every department, there was someone or the other who was very well endowed with the Premier League. In the defense, they had Aspi. Okay, and Rudiger, and their defense wasn't really inexperienced as such. I mean, they lacked their chemistry and they made some silly mistakes, and their defense wasn't consistent, obviously. And their
hmm,
midfield, they still had, likes of Kante. Kante didn't play, but then he was still there to, guide them. See, I'm not saying Lampard didn't do a great job. He definitely did. But then I don't see it as inexperience as much as I see it as team chemistry lacking.
considering most of the
consistency.
players
You
playing,
spoke about consistency. The only consistent player in the Chelsea backline was Aspilicueta. That's it.
I
No one
mean,
else. He was elite.
can you hear me
I
now,
feel.
guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
See,
so
I
Go ahead,
feel.
Jeet.
One second,
so
Jeet.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, so
I just feel in the back line, if played in the right system, Marcus Alonso is a beautiful player. I mean, I just feel he gets too much stick sometimes.
okay, so
Marcus
Shrikar,
Alonso, he gets the
Shrikar,
stick.
yeah, sorry, carry on. I'll say
No,
after
no,
you.
I'm done. I'm done. That was my point. I'm done.
Okay.
So basically, Shikar, you're saying Marcus Alonso, right? So Marcus Alonso, in my opinion, he's good in the attacking phase. He's not a good defender. So every time somebody is running down the right, or as our defense is on the left, so the left side of Chelsea's defense, Marcus Alonso is always left behind, and it's left to the centre backs Rudiger and Zuma to cover up for the mistakes that.
That's exactly the thing I was saying. I just said in the right system, probably a five at the back system, that dude is unstoppable. Because
Can
we've
I can I
we've
make a
seen
point
the
here?
kind of chances he creates. Yeah, sure.
See, the thing was, we didn't have Rudiger for most of the season, all right. So center
Yes.
backs were Zuma, Christensen, and Tomori. Tomori is one of the guys who came up from the academy ranks. This is what Lampard and Jody Morris have done brilliantly, developed most of the academy players. And, bringing, and he got in the right mixture of youth and experience. And on this end, I'd like to end this discussion about Chelsea.
As Chelsea fans, Jades and Arnav, how much would you rate them out of 10
I,
this season?
I would give them a 9.
I'd give them a 9 as well.
Yeah.
Shrikar?
So we're done with.
I'd give them an 8.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give them an 8.5 as well.
So we'll round
We'll
it up
just
to 8.759 and
just round it
finish up
up to
with
9.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Guys, after Chelsea, now we're gonna talk about Crystal Palace. So Marcel, are your views about Crystal Palace this season?
Crystal Palace have had a very disappointing season, and the most disappointing was Wilfried Zaha. They finished 14th, I think, 14th or 15th, but
Yeah,
they've scored very few goals. Only Norwich has scored lesser than them,
and
and I think they
shockingly,
really
their
need to improve
highest
on that.
scorer this season was Ayu, and
Was
not Zaha.
Ayu?
Exactly, it
You'd
wasn't Zaha.
expect a lot from Zaha with his talent, but he has been a disappointment this season.
All right. And on that note, Shrikar,
Yeah.
Crystal Palace lost Van Bissaka this season. Did you feel he was missing in their defense?
See, of course he was. I mean, see, a person like Wan Bissaka, see, everybody, including, a rival like Jamie Carragher, agrees that he's probably the best 1v1 defender in most situations possible. And I mean, as a United fan, I know how many times he has saved Aras, and you can only see when he has won the best. When he has been selected as the best right back over Trent the previous season, you can just see how good he was. And
That's
losing him
correct.
was obviously really bad for them. But then, see, there were negatives to this Crystal Palace season. But then one big positive for me was Patrick Van Aanholt, and the way their defense held up was not bad actually. I mean, their attack was surely disappointing, but then I like the way the defense held up, and then the way Patrick Van Aanholt was supporting. He was basically filling in for Zaha because Zaha was disappointing. Van Aanholt was actually making it up for Zaha.
That is correct, Shrikar. Now I'd like to go to Jeet. Jeet, what would you like to say about Crystal Palace signing Gary Cahill, a former Chelsea player, and his influence on the Palace team?
So signing Gary Cahill for Crystal Palace is actually a very good move because they lost Van Bissaka and one of their uh, strongest defenders. And Gary Cahill, with the experience that he has in the Premier League and everything, it gives them a little bit of more stability at the back. So it really helped them concede less goals. And yes, of course, their attack was completely poor this season, especially Wilfried Zaha, considering the fact that he is, being linked to so many big clubs with such a high price tag, and he completely didn't live up to it. So yeah, I would say the season was pretty poor.
That is true, as Wilfried Zaha disappointed everybody. But then, didn't you guys feel their performance suddenly dipped once post this COVID lockdown?
I mean, I think they lost all their last 5 games.
Exactly. They lost their performances post COVID.
They played like they didn't want to win only. They played without any, um, I'm not getting
Yeah,
the
I know.
energy,
Intent, I guess. Intent is the word you're
uh,
looking for. You
that
know,
intent.
because it was safe to say that Palace are not going to get relegated and they're not pushing
Hmm.
for top 10. So they lacked intent. That is one thing even I feel, was visible in their game.
One thing I can say though is that Jordan Ayew impressed me a lot.
Jordan Ayew was too good, top scorer for
He
Palace
stepped
this
up.
season
He was the top
with
scorer.
9 goals.
Not many people expected much from him at the start of the season. They all expected Wilfried Zaha and it's Townsend, right? Andros Townsend.
Yeah, Andros
Yes.
Yeah,
Townsend.
they all expected
But
Andros
then
Townsend and Wilfried Zaha to, excel. Me and I feel like, uh, um, sorry, what's his name again?
Townsend.
Jordan Ayew.
Jordan Ayew. My mistake. Jordan Ayew really um impressed me this season.
See,
You know,
although
yeah,
the
Shrika, go
one
ahead.
point I wanted to make was so I just saw something and then it's like Crystal Palace missed big chances missed are 26. So they've missed 26 big chances this season.
Hmm.
Considering it's a 14th club in the 14th place, that's not a lot. So it's just safe to say that they haven't been creating many chances to begin with.
Yeah, so we can say that their attack lacked a jigsaw piece. That's right,
Yes.
if you guys agree. So,
Agreed.
what would your ratings be for Palace? We'll start with Jeet.
I'll give them a 5.
Jeet gives 5. Marcel
I'll give them a 5 as well.
and Shrika, how about you?
I'd give them a 5.5.
5 and for me, it would be 4.5. Because Crystal Palace is defensively solid and their performance dipped after lockdown. I was pretty disappointed, and my FPL was too. So, on that note, let's end Crystal Palace with giving them a rating of 5.
Yeah.
That was Crystal Palace, guys. And after Crystal Palace, we are moving on to Everton. Everton finished 12th in the season with just 49 points, which personally for me is a big disappointment. And given they sacked Marco Silva mid-season and now got in Carlo Ancelotti, it's a huge boost for Everton moving forward. But this season, for me, was a disappointment. Now I'll move to Marcel for his views about Everton.
See, when you look at their team, Everton's team, you'd expect them to finish at least in the top half of the table.
That is true, man.
Now, yeah, and I think the position where they are at right now is because of how they were playing at the start because of Marco Silva.
Marco
He
Silva. mm, Go ahead, go
he
ahead. I'm
was a
sorry.
good manager. He was a good manager, but I don't think it clicked for him this season. They kept losing games. They were in the relegation zone, and
That is true at the start of the season.
now they finished 12th, even though they were in the relegation zone. That is the only good thing, and also Carlo Ancelotti's appointment as the manager. Those were the only two good things that I found from them this season. I
Shrikar,
mean, if
what
you
would you
look at the
like to say?
team,
What would you
they're a
like to
pretty
say?
strong team.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Marcel. Now, Shrikar, what would you like to say? Everton had just two people who scored 10 plus goals this season, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and their third highest scorer is Bernard with 3 goals. So, is their attack lacking something?
See, for me, I don't know with the others, but see, Richarlison wasn't as big a disappointment for me as much as Sigurdsson was.
No, I was speaking about attacking line being a disappointment as a whole, and you made a good
Yeah,
point
and
in it about Sigurdsson.
yeah, because no, what was mainly running in my mind with that Everton team was them adding Gylfi Sigurdsson to their team because everybody knows how good that player just is. I mean, he creates passes. He's good with. I mean, he creates chances. He's good with his passes. He's great with his set pieces and everything. And then
That is true.
everybody pegged the Everton team. I mean, it's a beast of a team with the England's goalkeeper as their starting keeper and a decent back line and a really good team overall.
That
So
is
them
true.
finishing 12th is really one of the biggest disappointments and one of the biggest shockers technically. Overall,
Yeah,
yes, I mean I have like two to three good points. One is the discovery of DCL Calvert Lewin. He's been a beast and he can only become better.
and especially under
Ancelotti,
someone like Ancelotti,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And the second point for me is that Moise Keane has finally has someone who he can live up to and a manager who can actually help him build up. And Ancelotti has made it clear that Moise Keane is going nowhere and he's a big part of his plans from the next season. And
That is
obviously, the third point being
definitely a
Carlo
positive.
Ancelotti himself.
That that's true. Nothing can beat your last line, Carlo Ancelotti himself. Now moving on to
Yes.
Jeet. Jeet, how what were your comments about Liverpool's defense and Everton's defense and especially Luka Dean?
So everybody has covered basically everything. I commend Luca Dean. He was the one supplying all the goals. I feel this season he has created the most chances. I think for Everton this season. So without
Yep,
him,
seven
I
assists.
wouldn't. Yeah, he's got 7 assists in the season. So without him, I don't think Everton would have finished where they did. And as compared to what Shrikar said, I was more disappointed in Richarlison than I was in Sigurdsson because Richarlison was bought to score goals. And to be honest, 13 goals in a season for a world class striker like him is just not enough.
You know, there that brings out another debate. You know, Richarlison starting of the season was playing left wing. Now he's playing the second striker in Ancelotti's system. So that's another debate as a whole. For me, another positive for Everton was Michael Keane. His performance was too good this season, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, the highest number of passes completed.
Yeah,
Passes
I
and
agree.
defensively pretty solid as well.
Yeah, he was good. Michael Keane was good. Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's what I'm saying. No, they've had. They can't really complain about not having a good squad because they've had
Uh,
a very good squad.
I do have one complaint though.
yeah, man, go
I
ahead.
feel Pickford was not up to the mark at all. I feel like he could have done much
And
better,
even Theo Walcott.
and Theo Walcott as well. But for me, one of the biggest letdowns was Jordan Pickford. He only kept 9 clean sheets in 38 games.
That is
And
also true. And
considering the fact that he's England's number one goalkeeper, you expect so much more from him, and you would think that his uh, um, Everton's defense would lean on him, but he was disappointing. Yeah,
yeah, I know Pickford didn't have a good season, and their 40 million signing Iwobi was nowhere to be seen as well.
exactly.
So, on that note, Marcel, how would you rate Everton this season?
Gives them a 5, four
Five,
and a half, 5,
four and
5.
a half, five. Shrika,
For me, it's a 3 because of Ancelotti.
how about Jeet?
Same. I also give them a 3.
I'd give them a four, and approximately we can round it up near four, four and a half. That is our rating for Everton. Moving on from Everton, we now come to Leicester City. Leicester City had an incredible season, I feel. They finished fifth, which was definitely not what I expected at the start of the season. And for me, the biggest positive for Leicester was obviously Jamie Vardy and Brendan Rodgers and his tactics as well. Now, moving on to Jeet, what are your views about Leicester?
For me, Jamie Vardy was the star, and I feel like they've discovered quite a few good young players like Tielemans and Harvey Barnes, and I feel like these people will take Leicester to probably maybe a Champions League position next season, and if if even more, maybe even challenge for the Premier League in the coming season. If they
Oh,
can,
that's quite a strong statement,
it
Jeet.
is if they can manage to keep James Madison in their squad.
Jamie Vardy, Jose Perez. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and
And also coming back from 13th position last season to finish fifth this season is a really commendable job done by Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers.
So I feel
Brendan
like
Rodgers was always
uh,
uh, underrated, I feel.
always, even at Liverpool, he was underrated. Just because they didn't win the title that season, people started uh,
Yeah, I know. I know people lost their trust
complaining
in
about him.
Rodgers.
Exactly, but
So
he's the
Marcel,
one who brought Leicester back.
yeah, Jeet, I get it. So Marcel, would you like to add
Yes.
something?
I think they've had a wonderful season. Nobody else. I don't think anyone um, expected them to finish in the top 5 this season. With Brendan Rodgers has done an incredible job with them, with their team, and I don't have any other complaints with them. Maybe would have if they would have kept their form, they could have finished in the top 4. But then they've also had injuries. They've lost one of the main players, Madison, and even
Injuries are,
Ricardo
I
Pereira
mean, I
and
know,
Wilfred
right?
Ndidi also.
They lost the core of their team post this coronavirus lockdown.
Yeah.
Rika, would you like to say something about how Leicester lost their spot?
See, frankly, I couldn't be happier. But yeah, I mean, see, Leicester. I mean, I won't say bottled it. They had their fair share of injuries, and for me, even more than Madison, it was NDD's injury that affected them more.
Mm.
That is
Because
true. Wilfried Ndidi was, a silent warrior for Leicester this season.
I mean, aren't CDMs always the silent warriors of each teams?
That is also true.
So,
And
like, with each of their, with NDD making, so many, ball recoveries, taking the ball, winning the ball back, stopping, making those tackles. He, being a CDM, had one less tackle than Wan-Bissaka this season. Okay, and other than that, the moment NDD was gone, who, like, no one was, capable enough to handle that midfield the way he did. And Leicester, if I'm not wrong, had a very low win percentage when he was not there. I think he was missing 7 fixtures. And they were 7 fixtures, not very tough ones. And just because there was no NDD, it really screwed them up. And
yes,
I
I
mean,
think this was before the lockdown.
yeah, this
They,
was
I guess,
before the
only
lockdown.
won one game out of the seven.
Yep.
You
And
know, their goal scoring department was taken care of by Jamie Vardy. He scored 23 goals. But then, if you look
And
who's
then,
second among there, that is Jose Perez. He got 8 goals. And out of those 8, he got 3 in this
yeah, the
9-0
Southampton game.
thrashing of Southampton. Exactly. So, other than Jamie Vardy, there are no goal sources in Leicester. What would you like to say about that, Master?
well, I think others also have to step up, scores even their fair share of goals. If you remove Vardy from the team, who else is there then to score?
That is
Who
correct.
else can you rely on, rather?
True. Jeet, would you like to add something?
I would say they need to buy another striker. I don't think they need anything else. A striker and a defender, and then they're sorted.
And Shrikar, overall, probably give a 2-3 word review about Leicester season.
I pegged them for finish. I mean, I pegged them for doing really well next season, considering the squad they have. I mean, obviously, in that is.
Two, three
I mean,
words.
It seems like they will keep Madison. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll do well, and they did well this season too. Nothing bad about it.
I know, and I guess we all missed the for a very influential centre back for Leicester now. That was
Job.
Soyun
Mm-hmm.
Chu, and Johnny Evans as well, no doubt. But
Yes.
Soyun Chu in his breakthrough season was impressive. Jeet.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Soyuncu, except for that dirty thing he did against Manchester. But was it
In the
Manchester United?
end,
No,
No, no.
not United.
Oh yeah, but then that dirty thing he had done in the goal, I didn't appreciate that. But then he did have a good season. But I could say
Yeah.
that
So
Kelechi Iheanacho could, step up next season. So let's see. Leicester are an exciting team.
yes, bro. And on that note, what would your ratings be for Leicester, guys? Mason?
I'd give them a 9.
9. Shrika?
I'd give them an 8.
8. Jeet?
8.5.
8.5 for me as well, and group rating would come around 8.5, and that's it for Leicester. So this brings us to the last segment of this video, and now we're gonna talk about Liverpool, the champions of the 2019-20 season. And I'd like to start off by going to Marcel. What would you like to say about Liverpool season?
I
Jurgen
don't
Klopp.
think I have much to say except that they've had a
Everything is
pretty
there.
good season because everything is there in front of you. The table also is there. They've won by a lot of points. They've been the most consistent team, and they've played some good football.
That is
I
true.
think Klopp and the mentality he formed those players with, that clearly showed this season. They've got that
And
winner's
looking,
mentality.
and that is a very good point you made about mentality. Shrikar, what would you like to say about them, finishing on 99 and not going for 100?
See, obviously, when I talk about Liverpool, the first thing I want to say is it's been a while that a team made the Premier League look like a farmers' league. Okay. And number two, yeah, as long as you're talking about mentality, of course, they slipped. They slipped. I mean, okay, no pun intended, but they slipped. Uh, I mean, see, they literally had everything to go. See, they could have gotten it golden. They didn't. They could have made the century. They didn't. I mean, don't you think just like it's just like they beat Chelsea because they just didn't want to look bad on the day they were taking the trophy. That's all.
Jeet,
Other than
what would
that,
you
No.
like to say about that, about Liverpool's mentality post lockdown? Were they already in party mode or something? Jeet,
Okay.
and we seem to have lost Jeet again.
so Marcel, who was
Hello.
your stand-up? Yeah, Jeet.
Yeah. So, talking about mentality, I feel like they lost a little bit after they started partying after Chelsea beat City. So, from that point in time, I think they were not focused, and I feel like yeah, I just feel like they could have done better, but I mean, they won the title. What more do they want? It's been 30 years. I think they deserve it.
Yeah.
That's no
Now,
question.
now,
They definitely deserved it.
now I'm gonna pose a difficult question to the group. Who was your personal favorite player this season from Liverpool and why? We'll go start with Shrika.
That's the thing. I mean, see, as a United player, I mean, as a United fan, sorry. I mean, my favorite player,
Someday, bro, someday.
my favorite player. I mean, it might be funny, but then my favorite player was Jordan
Henderson.
Henderson. I mean,
How
I
about
just
you,
feel
Marcel?
his
Okay,
achievements are
sorry.
overlooked.
That is true. And again, that's the same debate of a CDM.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
How about you, Marcel? Your favorite player from Liverpool this season?
Um, I'd say Van Dijk. I mean, if he was not there in the team, they wouldn't have won the league for sure.
And it
He is that
is
important to the team,
true.
as important
And he
as
steps
Henderson is.
in, I know, and he steps in, week out, and comes and performs and delivers. That is just too good. How about you,
Mm.
Jeet?
So since everyone has said defenders, I'm gonna go with an attacker. My favorite was Salah for sure. I've always had a soft spot for Salah. So he scored 19 goals, 10 assists. What more do you want from a forward? And also
20
props to
goals,
Trent
11 assists.
Alexander-Arnold.
Alexander Arnold Robertson, definitely were a huge influence on this. For me, my personal favorite would be Joe Gomez because the way he's developed playing alongside Van Dijk was pretty commendable.
Yeah, I
And
mean, that's true. Again, that's the thing. I mean, I'd like to see him play without Van Dijk once before I make my assessment on Joe Gomez. I mean, Van Dijk made Lovren look good.
I know. Let's
So
see.
but
Let's
I,
didn't
hope
I,
but
I'd
didn't
the
Joel
actually,
day
Matip and Joe
probably
Gomez
for
play
England.
together?
I don't think so. I don't think.
No, I don't think they play together.
They didn't.
I'm not
I
Because
mean,
sure though.
Uh,
I
I
would
mean, at
back
least
them playing
not a
together as
very.
well. I mean, they're all three very good defenders, and I'm sure even without Van Dijk, Gomez and Matip would do well together.
Van Dijk, but is the glue that holds Liverpool's defense together. That
That's
is what
definitely.
I
I
feel.
mean, I see.
That
Without
is true.
Van Dijk, I don't think T.A. and Robertson would be where they are today.
Without Van
That's
It's
Dijk
also
and
very true.
Fabinho, bro.
Yeah,
And
Fabinho,
Fabinho
obviously.
too.
The way he falls back is brilliant. But yeah, see, that's the thing. Without Van Dijk to hold that mid, I mean, to hold that defense now, with the
thanks.
way he does, I don't think the fullbacks would go front with such confidence that they do. I mean, the way TA just goes in front, it's like, yeah, it's all chill behind.
He doesn't need to worry about what's happening
He
behind. He
really
just needs to
doesn't. He
go and
really
cross.
doesn't.
He just needs to get the ball in the box. That's his job, and
Yep.
he's doing it pretty well.
Yep.
But one
And
thing,
also they have a good keeper. Not many people talk about Allison,
but
but I
honestly,
think
he didn't have
Allison has
much
been
to
really
do.
good.
He didn't have
Uh,
much to do this season.
That's exactly why they don't
Although
talk about him much. Because I mean, he's definitely
he's
overlooked,
still
but then
good when he
how?
has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is definitely overlooked. But then, how much do you really have to do is the question there. I mean, see, obviously, when Allison wasn't there, we saw that Liverpool were actually leaking at least a goal a match. You know, when Adrian
with
was there and he was
Adrian in goal,
fucking up.
that is true.
But then, yeah, I mean,
But you can't compare Allison and Karius. So uh, I would say that yeah, Allison has been overlooked, but I would say without Allison has also been made look good by Van Dijk.
Van Dijk is
definitely,
a player
it's
that makes
at
the
the
whole team look good.
end of the day, it's all Van Dijk.
Yeah.
All right,
So
guys.
I have a question. I have a question though. Would you feel that
Yeah,
next
sure.
season Jordan Henderson should continue being the captain, or would you give it to Van Dijk?
No. It's
Um,
Henderson for me. I mean,
Henderson,
Henderson
obviously,
deserves
because
it.
of the seniority.
it's because of
Yeah,
the seniority. It's because of how. I mean, see, it's got to be either Henderson or Milner. But considering how much more Henderson is important to the team too, it'd be Henderson. And Henderson has just won the Premier League. Why would anyone strip him of his captaincy, or why would he
that's
even
also
want to
true.
give away his captaincy?
That's
I
also
mean,
true.
he's a
The
CL
only reason
winner,
I
a
did
PL
ask
winner.
that kind of. Oh, sorry, continue.
He's a CL winner, PL winner, and at the end of the day, I mean, I have no problem admitting he's a great captain. And I mean, I'm pretty sure Steven Gerrard is happy, so it doesn't even matter.
That is that are some strong points there, Shrikar. And this season, Wijnaldum didn't make a single assist this season because their fullbacks were racking up all the assists, and Wijnaldum was being overlooked the whole season. So, and on that note, I would like to ask your rating about Liverpool. No, I mean, I will make it for everyone from here. It is a 10, and we line Liverpool right here.
Yeah, massive
Mama,
respect.
This was all for today's episode. And if you haven't checked it out, our first episode is out already. Please go check it out. And those who have checked it, guys, if you liked it, thank you. And if you feel that we need to improve on certain things, please do let us know. You can ping us on Instagram or any other social media platform. And guys, the questions that we answered, those are even for you all to answer. So feel free to drop your answers down in the comment section.